Dear Diary, this is the voice of your conscience, Christopher Boudou. Today we're going to tell you one of the bazillion legendary stories from my life about how I lived in a bush for 4 months when I first came to New York City. I was living in Boston, Massachusetts, and had no desire to come to New York City. No part of the earth really holds any allure for me, except maybe there's no humans there. But electricity, so I can do all my work and art. And my friends in Boston said, you should move to New York. I'm like, what? And they said, you should move to New York, but Manhattan. This was during the 90s. And when there was still something left in Manhattan. East Village was still fun and interesting, etc. And I did want to come to the Knitting Factory, at the original Knitting Factory, because it was an avant-garde mecca, and I was on the cutting edge of the avant-garde. Sadly, the Knitting Factory, I saw a lot of great music, but I saw nobody I could work with. Sad and lonely. Sucks being smarter than everyone else, more talented than everyone else. Thank you very much. So I said, all right, I might as well go to New York. They said, we'll drive you down. And I said, well, I got to find a place. If I don't find a place, well, I'll fucking sleep outdoors. I don't give a shit. I'll sleep on the floor of the Knitting Factory. I don't give a shit. I'm pretty hardcore. So without knowing a single person in New York City, without having anything lined up, I took the $300 I had, put a bunch of my shit in the trunk, not much, and came to New York City. My bike and a few other things. I guess I should tell you the whole story. The whole story is outrageous. So we came on the weekend, goofed off. We did a lot of sightseeing, the three of us. Then on Sunday they had to return back to Boston to go because they had work on Monday morning. So we didn't know where to put me and my stuff, and all the storage places were closed. So what we did was they found a storage place somewhere in Harlem. This is in the 90s, and dropped me on the sidewalk. We put my stuff. There was a school there, so across the street from the storage place was a school, and they had a little fence around it. And I put all my stuff over the fence, and I had to sleep outdoors till the morning when the place opened. So I'm in Harlem with all of my property: my guitar, acoustic guitar, my violin. I had my bicycle, clothing, a bunch of other things. And my friends say goodbye. All of a sudden, these little black kids start hovering around me, and they're like, "Hey, mister, that's my bicycle." And I said, "No, it isn't." And then the kids started throwing rocks at me and things like that. What a nice first day alone in New York City. Make matters worse, then it starts to drizzle and rain. It's like, oh, great, I got all my stuff. I'm stuck outdoors for the night. This was in the summertime, June. I had to run to a bodega when there was nobody around, run to the bodega on the corner, get garbage bags, and come running back and cover all my shit up without anybody stealing my shit. Oh, yeah. Anyhow, so for a few days, I still wandered around. Oh, I only had $200 now because I had to pay $100 deposit for the storage unit. So I just had one change of clothing and my bicycle. My bicycle was stolen that first night. Or whatever. The first night, the second night I was there, or third night, I went to the Knitting Factory, and it was stolen out front, locked up. Hey, New York's great. I mean, I can't believe how low crime is, because I can't believe it, because it's all faked crime statistics. So, what I found is when I would go around and talk to people, I'd be like, "Hey, I just moved to New York City, and I'm homeless." People weren't like, "Oh, you poor thing. You seem cool. Maybe we can help you." No, when you told people you were homeless, they treated you like you had double AIDS with a little frosting of Ebola on it. And so I pretty quickly learned, oh shit, I can't even tell people I don't have a place to stay. Now I got $200. I should be able to find some cool musicians, maybe somebody. And I wandered around the city trying to find out where all the cool musicians were, because New York City is the world capital of fucking moron assholes and not cool musicians. For the first few days though, I was wandering around trying to figure out the city, and I slept in doorways, or a couple times I slept in parks in the afternoon just on the grass. This is before 9/11, when you didn't get arrested if you did anything. And I wandered around for days, didn't know what to do. Finally, I was like, man, it's been like 5 days. I gotta get a shower. Maybe one of these shelters knows where I can shower. I'll go to the Salvation Army. So on 14th Street, Union Square, I go to the Salvation Army. The woman there is a psychopath. I tell her my story. And she looks at me and she says, Christopher, 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 sometimes we create elaborate stories to cover up our drug use. Now, at the time, I didn't even drink alcohol. I didn't do any drugs, and I didn't drink alcohol. Didn't even take aspirin. But this was a religious woman, which means batshit crazy. And she thought I had made up the story that I had just come from Boston, my friends had dropped me off, and I had been sleeping in doorways for the last 4 days or whatever, 5 days. She's like, look at you, your eyes are red. And I'm like, geez, I think that might jibe with my story. I have a hunch sleeping in doorways. Your eyes might be a little bloodshot or whatever. And finally, the stupid cunt explained, I bitched her out, and she's finally like, well, I'll give you a chance. And she gave me the address of a place on Bleecker, right across from the Yippee Cafe, where you could get free showers every morning. And so that was first and foremost. I got some showers. All right, they gave me fresh clothing. Of course, since I own bad luck, and here I am as a white boy, 21-year-old white boy, pretty white boy with his pretty brown hair and his flowing locks. I had half a beard at the time. For 3 years, I had half a beard. It was nice. It was subtle. It really was. I'm not being sarcastic. And so then what happened was, the guy gives me a new set of clothing. All right, what does he give me? He gives me a pair of ugly-ass, freshly, brand new fucking denim jeans. Disgusting. I hate denim jeans. And he gives me a sweater that's like from a fucking polo club. So now here's a fucking white boy in a line with all the middle-aged black dudes, all waiting for our showers. I'm in fucking brand new jeans and a country club sweater. My life is retarded. I think there is a God, and he is a cruel, sadistic prick watching everything we do and fucking with us. So he, pausing to save. So, is this recording? Yeah. GarageBand blows. I don't even... All right, here we go. Now, things get pretty weird. I came to New York City to go to the Knitting Factory. Now, again, I have the world's worst luck and the world's best luck, and nothing in between. I even said when people were like, where are you gonna go when you go to New York? Where are you gonna stay? And I said, worst case scenario is I'll sleep on the floor of the Knitting Factory. I go down there. I'm wandering around. I found a record store, a little quirky record store. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Here I can maybe track down some of the interesting people who I should be talking to, meeting musicians, etc., etc. I'm in there talking to the guy behind it, Bruce. The Downtown Music Gallery was the name of it. Its original location. And Bruce Galanter. And this girl comes in and starts hangs up a little sign that says Knitting Factory looking for interns. It's like fucking fate. And I say to her, hey, I just moved to town. I'd love to be. I came here partially. 30% of the reason I came here was to go to the Knitting Factory. She's like, well, great, come by. I'll come by after 2 p.m. My name's this. I go there. They hire me as an intern. Next thing I know, I'm in New York City with nowhere to live, but I'm already living my dream. I'm working at the Knitting Factory by day, seeing all the shows free by night. Fucking awesome. Too bad I didn't drink alcohol because I could have got tons of free booze. Looking back on it now, I realize I was an asshole. I also wasn't friendly to the musicians and didn't try to make connections or network because I was quietly watching them all saying, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, looking for people I could work with. I didn't find anyone. I mean, I ended up hanging out with all kinds of people, from your Zena Parkins to your John Zorns, and I tried to keep my mouth shut because everything I say is controversial and everything I say upsets people. So I was spending all day and all night at the Knitting Factory. Now, that was bad because it meant I couldn't get a paying job and start working to get an apartment. All I had was my $200. And so what I started doing was sleeping in a bush near NYU. One of the problems when you're homeless, a lot of people don't realize this, being homeless is a lot of work. It is a really hard job being homeless. You think it is. You think you just wander around. No. It's hard work thinking, all right, where am I going to put this? I have to carry this with me? I have to carry this with me all the time? What was that weird noise? I have to carry this with me all the time? What the fuck is that? And so on and so on and so on. Struggling to find places to sleep. You can't just sleep wherever you want. It'd be great. It'd be great if I could just put up some cardboard boxes in Central Park. Beautiful. No, security police are going to bust you wherever you go. Or people are going to steal your shoes while you're sleeping. One day when I slept in the park, somebody stole my food. I fell asleep with the bag next to me. I thought it was broad. I didn't know that New York City was the world capital of crime. And had my bag next to me, but fell asleep, and people just stole it. They'll steal anything. So I had to find a place to sleep. You have to find a place that's secret. Nobody can see you. And so I found a place on 3rd Street and Broadway. was the NYU law dorms. And it had an overhang, so it was great. It was like a waist-high fence, and then like a garden. I would jump the fence late at night. I would work at the knitting factory till 2 a.m. or whatever. Then I would leave. What the fuck is that noise? I would leave and then go get some fresh cardboard, walk down 3rd Street, look both ways, make sure there's nobody coming because I can't have anybody see me going into my secret lair. I would then jump the fence, jump a bunch of shrubs, and jump behind the big row of shrubs, and I was under an overhang, so if it started raining while I was sleeping, I wouldn't get wet. I was behind a row of shrubs on dirt, but I was on my cardboard on dirt. Trained myself to sleep like I was in a coffin, and I slept there for 4 months. Every morning I'd wake up at whatever, 6, 7, 8 a.m., and have to jump out when nobody was coming, and then walk over to Bleecker Street by the Yippee Cafe. First I'd go to NYU, walk into the building because I looked like a student, go to a bathroom on the 5th floor or whatever, and wash my other outfit in the sink. And then I would go to the showers. I'd get a shower. Then I'd have to put on my wet clothing because I had slept in the dry clothing. And that was pretty awful, putting on wet, cold clothing every day. Because it would dry. I couldn't go to a laundromat and use a dryer just to dry 2 pieces of clothing. Couldn't hang it, couldn't do anything with it. I didn't want to leave it. You couldn't leave it in a plastic bag. It would get moldy. So I had to put it on because that was the best way to make it dry. And I'd wander around a little bit and then go to the knitting factory. And I did that every day for 4 months. And then, amazingly enough, and I couldn't tell anyone I was homeless. And I was living my dream, but nobody could know I was homeless. And I was showering every day and wearing my clothing every day, different clothes. Well, I had 2 outfits. One day, Jennifer Charles, who later became the singer of Elysian Fields, she was also an intern there, and she said, "Are you homeless?" And I said, "No, I have a place to stay." Finally, she got out of me. She also was the only, I didn't talk about my sexuality, and she said, do you date girls? Because I was sworn to celibacy, not allowed to go near girls. And didn't for the next 10 years. Or 8 years. So I slept in a bush for 4 months in Manhattan. And it wasn't so bad. Here's one funny story. One night I woke up in the middle of the night, and there's something on my stomach. You know, like if you ever had a cat sleep on your stomach because they like the warmth and they like the little rocking ride. So, pardon my belch. I woke up groggy-eyed, and I'm like, what is that on my stomach? It was a giant rat. And as I slowly realized that it was a giant rat, I panicked. Or I was startled and frightened. And, of course, the rat was just as frightened of me, and it took off quickly. I lost that wonderful space. It was October, starting to get cold. And I came home, air quotes, one night, and jumped the fence, jumped the bushes and the shrubs. Bam! There's a guy and a woman in there, a black guy and a black woman. Both looked a little homeless. In my spot, my exact spot. No one had ever been there for 4 months. And I say, hey, this is my spot. The guy says, no, it's not, it's my spot. I'm like, dude, I've been sleeping here for 4 months. He's like, okay, give me 10 minutes. We're going to have sex in my spot. Now, that ends it there. You understand? You can't go to sleep there anymore because this guy could go jump the fence and steal my shit or fucking mug me or whatever. You need to be able to sleep somewhere where no one sees you. No one knows you are. And so I lost that space, and that was horrible because then I wandered around looking for places to hide and sleep. And it was easier back then before 9/11. Now everything's got locks, 3 locks on it. Everything's bureaucracy. It's a fucking nightmare. And one day they found the 2 owners, Bob and Michael Dorff, found out from Jennifer that I was homeless. And they, out of the blue, said, you can sleep on the office floor. Now, do you get that? 4 months after I had said to people in Massachusetts, if I don't have a place to stay, maybe I'll just sleep on the floor of the knitting factory. Now, they would have let me sleep there sooner, but I didn't mind sleeping. It wasn't that bad sleeping outdoors every night in the summertime. I don't remember the weather being too cold or too warm. And I could fall asleep without the aid of vodka or anything like that. And I had a routine. It was nice. All I needed was a fucking place to fucking pass 6 hours up to 7 hours sleeping. That's all I needed. So, Christopher Brodeur, story of sleeping in a bush. Now, wait, I'll give you an epilogue. I finally started sleeping on the floor of the Knitting Factory. Then they let me build a little cubby hole above the exit in the hallway. And it was above the exit in the foyer. So it was like a big storage space. But it wasn't quite, it was like 5 feet by 3 feet. So I couldn't even stretch out completely. And I got my stuff out of storage and let me put my stuff up there. My violin was destroyed. I'll never replace it probably. One more of my zillion tragedies. Can't afford another violin. Fuck that. Most people don't know that I used to play violin. People don't know anything about me. They just jump to conclusions. I never saw him play violin. Stayed at the Knitting Factory for a few months. They had a shower there, everything. It was great. Then the owners started being dickheads to me, and I ended up... Bob fired me. I didn't do anything wrong, but Bob fired me. Then they rehired me because they realized I was practically running the joint by then. I mean, I was practically fucking assistant manager after like 3 months because they were at the point where they were sick of running the place. 5 o'clock would happen, and the two of them would just get the fuck out of them and wish for the best. Let other people run this dump. Let's get out of here. And so I ended up having to do everything, deal with the musicians, without the title. Oh, this is the funniest part too. After they fired me and then they rehired me, we signed a contract, me, Michael, and Bob. The contract said I had to work 60 hours a week for $50. They said, we're going to start paying you $50 a week for 60 hours. You can talk to anybody. Dorf's known for being a scumbag. What a shame. They're both Jewish and they're rip-off artists. They ripped off John Zorn. A lot of people, that's why they stopped performing at the Knitting Factory and moved over to Tonic, and then he eventually created his own place, The Stone. I look back, I do regret not being more normal, getting drunk, picking up chicks, being normal. Hanging out with musicians. I could be touring the world as a musician. I'm a fucking great musician, but I didn't want to work with these guys. I mean, I did and I didn't. I wanted to do my music, and I needed very specialized, superhuman musicians, and I didn't find them. I met a lot of musicians. I've met a lot of great musicians, saw a lot of great musicians, but none of them could keep up with me. So it was like, fuck, where am I going to look? And to this day, I've still never found musicians who keep up with me. Nowhere. I've never seen them. Nothing. I've never found anyone in the annals of history who can keep up with me. Very depressing. You can look at the greatest musicians on earth, all of them. I look at them and go, Carl Palmer? Yeah, you're better than everybody else, but you're not 1% what I am as a drummer. But I can't play all the instruments myself in a live setting, so that's not going to work. It's very depressing being me, even though I'm wonderful. The world around me is depressing. It makes me sad. I'm going to have to smoke some pot in a moment. Thank God I have some. And try to kill the pain of living. I'm sure there's a couple other funny anecdotes I'm forgetting. That's why I'm stalling. Of the joys of living behind a bush for 4 months. Then I ended up moving in with some people. One of the bartenders there, she turned out to be, she was so nasty to me all the time, and people would say, I'd say, why are you so nasty? She's like, it's not me, it's you. Then everyone confessed to me that she was on heroin. I didn't know what heroin looked like. And then one night I had nowhere to stay. A couple of my friends fucked me over, because that's what friends are for. And I went back to my old place in the winter, like in January. I ended up going, one night, went back to my space behind, near the law dorms of NYU. And went to sleep. I thought, well, it's fucking cold out, but once I fall asleep, hopefully I won't notice. But that's not how it works. Your entire body. I woke up with all of my muscles spasming. You know, when your teeth chatter uncontrollably if you're out in the cold long enough, that's what all your muscles do. It's your muscles spasming, trying to create some heat. So I woke up, never felt that before in my life. Most people I don't think will ever feel that in their life, where all of your muscles are spasming uncontrollably from cold. Yikes. I went to the subway and then tried to stay there warm, and cops harassed me all night. What a wonderful city. What a wonderful world I live in. I eventually found a place for $350 a month. They rehired me at the Knitting Factory. They still treated me like fucking shit. They made me do everything for them. It's like, don't take advantage of the fact that I'm the hardest worker of all time. Please, it's not right. I didn't mind the $50 a day. That's great. If I'm sleeping on your floor, $50 a week, fine with me. What do I need money for? I don't have any expenses. Just a little bit. I eat very little food. I'm not like most humans. And but then I ended up quitting because they were such jerks to me. Then they banned me because I exposed some of the bad business practices. They were treating some people like shit. Actually, this was the funny thing. I got thrown out by 4 different managers. Four different managers threw me out of the Name Factory and banned me separately. Those are stories for another day. Like, they would try to fuck over customers. Like, customers would come late at night coming to see Scrawl, and it was the second show, and they would have Scrawl go first and the opener go second to reverse from the first set. So Scrawl wouldn't have to break down their instruments. Scrawl were a female trio from, like, the Midwest who were actually pretty cool in the 90s. Indie rock. And they were still taking people's money to see Scrawl after Scrawl had played the Late Show. So people were going to go up there, see the opening act, thinking it's the opening act, but it's not. That's the closing act. Scrawl already played. And they're going to wait, thinking Scrawl's next. And then it's going to be 2 a.m., and they're going to be like, is Scrawl going on? Oh, so Scrawl played 2 hours ago? Then they're going to go downstairs and say, I want my money back. Oh, but the person who took their money is gone for the night. And all the money went to the safe. Ha, ha, you got screwed. And so I stood there. I said, you got to tell people that Scrawl already played. And you can imagine, did they say, Christopher's a good guy, he wants us to spread the truth, yay for truth-telling? No. They had a bunch of people grab me and drag me physically out of the building. That was one of the times I got banned. I've been banned by so many places, never once for doing anything bad. I'm always banned for doing good, because we live in a world of shit and evil. Is there anything else you'd like to know about living in a bush? And I guess that's it. I'm sorry. My brain's not really here right now, but what do you expect? I slept in the stairwell last night. Ho ho! In the fetal position. Whoa whoa! I was lucky I could sleep in the fetal position. You know, sometimes you can't stay in the fetal position all night because your legs have to stretch. I didn't last night. It might have been the power of the vodka. Killing the pain. Killing the need to move. Killing the need to think. Oh, that should be their slogan, right? Georgie Vodka. Killing the need to think. Since 1835. This has been Professor Cranium with your story of New York living, a.k.a. My Life is Insane.